We can't have that serious conversation until we lay out the size of the problem. Once Americans understand how big the problem is, then we can begin to talk about potential solutions. But I am committed to having that adult conversation with the American people because it is important for the future of our kids and our grandkids.
But forgive me, sir, I mean, isn't the right time to have the adult conversation now, before the election, when you have this document? Why not make a single proposal to cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid?
Chris, this is what happens here in Washington. And when you start down that path, you just invite all kinds of problems. I know. I've been there. I think we need to do this in a more systematic way and have this conversation first. Let's not get to the potential solutions.
Will the House hold a vote this week before you adjourn for a month of campaigning, a vote this week on whether or not to extend the Bush tax cuts?
I doubt that we will.
And there's your party strategies for this year's elections in a nutshell. Republicans promising that they're not really ready to talk about, policy and stuff. Solutions. It's very complicated. Democrats, offered that softest of all political targets, nevertheless are refusing to campaign against Republicans. Ta-da! Joining us now is my friend Lawrence O'Donnell. His new show, The Last Word with Lawrence O'Donnell, premieres right after this show tonight at 10 Eastern. Lawrence, thanks for your time.
Good to be here.
I know you've got Vice President.
I was in the building anyway,
I understood,
so I thought I'd drop by.
And lazing around with nothing to do.
Yeah.
What did Joe Biden tell you? I know you've got him for your debut show tonight. What did he tell you when you asked him about Democrats not forcing Republicans to vote on tax cuts?
We pre-taped him a little earlier tonight, and surprisingly, he accepts the judgment of the congressional leadership on the question of when to go to the vote on the tax issue. It's a tough call. I can see it either way. I understand the strategy of not going for it. I understand the strategy of going for it. Really tough call. Democrats believe that they always lose the tax debate with Republicans, that what the public hears is Republicans want to cut taxes more than Democrats, and they don't the swing voter doesn't really care about any of the details beyond that.
And the deficit stuff doesn't resonate at all?
It isn't resonating yet in the polling that the Democrats have on their races and on what their candidates need. The way this was decided in the Senate, I've been told by senators who actually wanted to go for a vote now, what happened is that the Democratic senators who are up for re-election right now were given the power to decide whether we should have this vote in the Senate before the election or after the election, and they overwhelmingly chose, don't make us go to the Senate floor in a tax debate during my re-election campaign, please.
We don't want to run against Republicans. We'd prefer to pretend we're running against viruses. We'd like to make up some sort of hypothetical thing that we're running against, that we're more comfortable running against rather than Republicans. That's what it feels like to me. They don't want to talk about Republicans.
They just simply don't believe they can win a tax argument with Republicans in a campaign season.
But they're not trying to win any arguments with
Well, they're going local, like you said, and that is, of course, the Tip O'Neill commandment, all politics is local, go local. Now, we've seen these national races before. In 1994, when the Democrats lost everything, and they lost the House for the first time in 40 years, every commercial that was run against a Democrat who lost was the same commercial. It was a picture of your local congressman, the Democrat, which over 30 seconds morphed into the face of Bill Clinton. And that was the campaign that destroyed the Democrats in the House. They nationalized it around the president. Democrats did that, nationalizing the congressional election around George W. Bush in 2006. And so, the counter strategy to that has always been get them to go local, and by the way, go negative. Go against the individual candidate. Don't try to get into this national debate, because we will lose the national debate. Republicans did the same thing. In 2006, when Democrats went at them nationally with George W. Bush, they changed the subject. They tried to change the subject to local.
But isn't the other way to run against that to say, all right, you want to talk national? Let's talk national. Let's compare what Barack Obama's offering to what you're offering, Joe Miller in Alaska. I mean, if Republicans are trying to set the script, shouldn't Democrats recognize that they shouldn't accept that framing and do what the Republicans don't want them to do?
When we recall that this only matters in the swing districts, most of these districts are settled. The outcome is settled. It's been settled for a year. Yeah. There's no contest. In the swing districts, the Democrats Democratic accomplishments are not popular. The Obama Democrat health care bill has never had majority support in these swing districts. So the Democrat doesn't want to talk about the health care bill or wants to say, hey, I voted against it. And the Republicans love talking about the health care bill. And so that's the way...
So Democrats end up running by not running.
Yeah, the health care bill is
maybe
popular.
I'll get some votes by accident.
The health care bill is popular where the Democrats don't need it to be popular. You know, in Nancy Pelosi's district, it's popular. You know, she's not running any risk here. But in those swing districts with voters who can go either way, the Democrats are not finding that they have an accomplishment package to sell.
And they're certainly not trying. Lawrence O'Donnell, I'm so looking forward to the last word.
They're terrified.
Of course they're terrified. And the question, when you are terrified about losing, you can either try to win or accept that you are going to lose and refuse to campaign. They're doing the latter, which makes me nuts. At least it makes sense to you. Doesn't it make sense to me?
It does make sense to me.
It doesn't make sense to me.
I understand. But I understand terror, yeah.
But that's why you have the last word, which starts tonight right after the show at 10 p.m.
Do I look scared? It starts in minutes.
You are so ready. We're all so excited.
Boy, I wish the tech rehearsals worked. I wish, you know, because the great thing about live TV, anything can go wrong. I promise you, between 10 and 11, the chances of that are going to skyrocket.
Are you going to try to actually juggle something so as to heighten the tension?
So many things that go wrong.
Break a leg, my friend. We're so looking forward to it. Lawrence O'Donnell's new show starts tonight at the end of this hour, top of the hour. We're all very excited about it here at MSNBC.